Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Hello, viewers. Good day to you, wherever you may be. I am in Milan, Italy. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajuwan, and you are welcome. It's a beautiful day today, Friday, the 18th of October, 2024. And I'm here on our Friday update with my colleagues, Olayinka Raji from Lagos, Nigeria. How are you, big brother? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, viewers around the world. Welcome to our Friday program.
Welcome, Raji. Yes, welcome. Your face is still beaming. Those refreshing things you took in from Ghana, and we hope it stays like this. Raji, we hope it stays like this.
I'm still carrying the anointing.
The anointing. That's the word. The anointing. Another man carrying the anointing in faraway Toronto, Canada is George Chukwu. George, how are you?
I am awesome. Olayinka Raji, my man.
Good morning.
Your face is beaming. I love it.
Yes,
Olayinka. Yeah, Ghana effect is on you. The G effect is on you.
The anointing is still there.
Yes, it's all anointed. Anointed indeed. Yes,
we want to welcome the viewers from around the world on our Friday World Affairs. So we are here today.
We're here today, George. Viewers, you're welcome. So today, like we do, is the time to give news that has been flying around. The ability to relate and connect with it is what matters. It's keeping you up to date. Gentlemen, we can't start without what is taking all over the internet, social space, news space. Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar killed in Gaza by Israel forces. Gentlemen, I don't know where to start, but Sinwar's death is a serious blow to Hamas. But some people are saying this might not be the end of the war. Sinwar, as we know, is the mastermind behind the October 7 attack on Israel. So this is it. Sinwar, a major leader, has been taken off. George, let me start with George. George, I know you're following that story. Yes, what's your view on this?
I think it's a great Israel calls it the evil has been beaten. You remember that a few weeks ago, they found his DNA in the same tunnel where the body of 7 people were massacred and killed. And he was actually the first, who masterminded the October 7th event and disappeared and has never been found. Only his DNA was being found. But this time around, I believe that he wasn't being targeted. It was by chance that they got him. They weren't after going specifically for him. They didn't even know that he was the one. You gotta take a lot of. They had to. One of the fingers that were cut off was taken to the lab, and the DNA was done and discovered that he was the one. So Israel was very happy that at least one of these people that are masterminding their elimination has been caught and killed. So
the elimination. Okay. Yes. That's a video of Sinwar in some of his days. His activities. Raji, I know. Yes, tell us. What do you think about this occurrence?
There's sadness. There's sadness rather than joy in the death of Sinwar. And I don't think it is the end of anything. It is the beginning of more vicious. This thing has been on for almost over a year. The Palestinians are not leaving. They are there in their tents. They don't mind being there. Doesn't it occur to people that these people are now more resolved? Israel can do anything. And for instance, please let me just take care of certain words that we use. There was never a war in Gaza. There was just an invasion and a deliberate genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. It is not war. It is invasion. It's a deliberate genocide about exterminating more than 2 million people in Gaza, and it will not come to an. It is actually the beginning of another beginning.
Okay, Reggie, let me hold you on that before George comes in.
Joy.
Yes, let me hold you on this.
Netanyahu is desperate to be in power. Let him stay on.
Okay. Now Sinwar has been credited with masterminding that October 7 attack that led to death of 1,200 is a rough estimate, and that is actually the worst, like George would say, the worst terrorist attack in Israel since history, since Hitler Nazi
genocide, the Holocaust.
The Holocaust. So Sinwar dying, is it not good that I mean, this is like, but it's still not comparable to that number of casual people killed in Israel on October 7th. So why do you say that it is more mourning? Why will they mourn for somebody that did more harm than good? I mean, why? Because in the streets of Tel Aviv, people are dancing, people are happy. They've had the news everywhere. The videos I see, celebration. George, what do you think, George?
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Who are those who are
Listen to this. The people that are happy are those that their loved ones were killed by this man. The people that are jubilating are those who have suffered tremendously based on, October 7th event that happened. So you see, one of the major issues that we are facing here, he said the war will never end. You better pray that the war ends, because if the war does not end, Israel is making incursion into these people, and more of them we are going to die, simply because many of these what I call goons that are military men, they're using human shield to shield themselves. If those human shield, and when they're being targeted, are killed, who killed those human shield? It is the man who used them as a body shield. So this is what you're seeing in Hamas, in Hezbollah. Most of them are weak soldiers. They're hiding. If you're a soldier, come out in the open. Why are you hiding? You masterminded an attack. You killed thousands of, hundreds of people, and then you go into hiding. Why are you hiding? Aren't you a soldier? You're a soldier. Come out in the open, like Israel. Israel is not hiding. They're not hiding any of their military men. They come out on television to speak. They come out openly. So that's the major issue there. So you better pray that the war ends very soon, because if the war does not end, that means there will be a lot of unintentional casualties that will take place in that place, in that particular region. Israel has sworn that they are eliminating the leaders who masterminded everything, and so far they have been very, very successful in that. But there will be unintended casualties, and that's the major problem there. So whether we like it or not, we better end that war. We better pray that the war ends, Ola Nkaraji, so that there will not be innocent lives that will be lost. Because the modus operandi and the strategy of some of these terrorist organizations is using humans, children, hospitals to shield themselves. And then all of a sudden they're going to start crying, oh, you kill casualties. Why were you using humans to shield yourself? Why are you hiding under civilians? Go to the military camp. That's what war is supposed to be. So that's exactly what it is.
On top of this, George, the Israel Minister of Defense said he didn't die as a commander. Just adding to what you said, he said they saw him that obviously, like you said, George, that he only cared about himself. You know, this was a rebel that was more like a selfish rebel. He was hiding under civilians, putting people on harm's way, and calling himself a commander. Anyway, Raji, we know you differ. Tell us what do you think? What do you say again? Hello, Raji.
He's frozen.
Okay. I think he's frozen. So, George, one other thing that should be highlighted is the fact that Israel is going for key men, key rebel leaders, you know, heads of, like the head of the Hamas now, with the picture, the graphic you see there, they've taken out the key men, not just coming to kill people, scatter everywhere, but go out for the top men, the men that instigate all of this conflict.
They are looking for Mohammed. They are looking for Mohammed Sinwar. And not too long, Mohammed Sinwar will also become another victim of this war. That is what's going to happen.
That's Mohammed.
They're looking for him.
Yeah, Mohammed Zambia. Yeah.
So that's his brother. So they're looking for him. So, you know, and that's exactly why I said that Olayin Karachi ought to be praying that the war will end soon, so that there will not be unintended casualties. And why I call them unintended casualties, because these people that call themselves military men are using, you know, innocent human shield. And most of the time when they're targeted, so those some of these innocent people will become unintended casualties. So we are praying for the war to end.
With this video, George, even if when you look at this video, you will see that he's always shielded around people, you know. His movement, we saw some of the videos Israel put out. He's always around.
Look at the little children. So, always using little children.
Blocking so that people don't really see him. And yes, these are signs of he doesn't show strength, doesn't show how bold and ready. Raji, we want to hear from you on this. More of your take. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Go ahead.
Yes. I can hear you. I can see you. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We can hear you and we can see you too.
Can you hear me? I can hear you clearly.
We can hear you clearly.
All right. Okay. 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 Thank you. I don't see any joy in the killing of Sinwar. I don't see any joy in it, and I don't see the end of hostilities very soon. In fact, the killing of Sinwar has actually made it more difficult for peace to come. I don't see anything. My interest is actually the suffering of millions of Palestinians who are now wallowing in camps, in tents, and
okay, I think we're losing him there, George. Well, we had the first line of his views. He said he doesn't see the joy of taking out Sinwar, Yahya Sinwar. That's the Hamas leader. But Raji has his views.
Raji has his views, you know, these are the situations that we are having. Yeah, Israel is rejoicing, Hamas is mourning, you know, and that's exactly what war is all about. Wow. You know, when a general who orchestrated a war, comes out killed like this, then you know the opposition will rejoice, because somebody who inflicted a lot of pain on thousands of people, and up until today we're still suffering, you know, the crude oil crisis around the world. high prices of crude is as a result of this war. You see Hezbollah coming from one side, you see Iran coming from the other side, all in support of Hamas. You see the Houthis, fighting in the waters,
The water.
destroying a lot of crude, or interrupting the movement of shipment of goods around the world. These are all as a result. So the war needs to end as soon as possible. But if it doesn't end, like what we said before, pray that the war ends. If it doesn't end, because of what these people, weak, terrorist leaders are doing, you will see a lot of innocent casualties, unintended, because that's their modus operandi. They use them as human shield. They hide under the tents of innocent humans. So this is exactly what you're saying. So people that are crying out ought to be praying that the war ends. As Olayin Karaki is saying, if it continues, it is not good.
George, let's face facts. Do you think it will end like that? Because these are years of grievances, years of animosity that has built up.
You and I know.
The Arabs have that.
You and I know that this war is not going to end. We know how it's going to end. When they say peace and safety, then there will be sudden destruction. So this is an evolving type of situation that will never end. But Israel will never end either, because they are like the burning bush. They are burning, but they're not going to burn out. So that's one thing the world needs to understand. It is not possible to eliminate Israel. It is impossible to eliminate them. So if all these Muslim nations that are coming after them and threatening to annihilate them, if they will wisen up, then they will leave them alone. But as long as you keep going after them, because I can guarantee you, Israel has not forgotten what Iran did. Israel has not forgotten. When the right time comes, you're going to start seeing certain leaders. When the cloud settles and their defense system is, they think the world is moving rapidly on a normal race. You will begin to see casualties come in Iran also. They have not forgotten. So that's something that we need to understand, and we need to grab it and hold on to it. You cannot eliminate Israel.
Viewers, we are discussing the Sinwar death, major blow to Hamas, but a lot of people are saying this does not end the war. Sinwar, the man you see there with the other leaders that have all been taken out, was accredited to be behind the October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. And what they said is they've been pursuing him for years now. He's been hiding, like George said, he's been hiding between civilians, putting other people to cover himself. Finally, they got him yesterday, and they said he didn't even die like a commander. He died like somebody that was selfish-minded, only cared about himself. And so this is it. Israel, Hamas, Israel, Palestinians, Israel, Hezbollah, all of these militant groups keep putting conflict. I mean, this whole thing is just everyday conflict on people, also on the economy. It affects gas price, affects petrol, crude price, and affects so many things. People's safety, airline business, a lot of things are affected when all of these continue. Somehow, some people gain out of this, but on the most bigger scale, more people suffer from all of this conflict. So we really do hope something will reduce this. George, thank you very much. George, let's go back to some other stories coming in. The World Bank says ending extreme poverty by 2030 won't be possible. It's no longer possible. They were giving out some indices. They said it won't be possible because war, like we just talked about, the war in the Middle East, the war has put a big toll on the planet Earth. War, raging wars, war everywhere. Then debt situations facing so many countries, climate crisis, and the aftermath of COVID pandemic. George, so we got this report yesterday that extreme poverty that the World Bank plan to eliminate by 2030 will not be possible. Other issues also will be arising. George, what do you have on that story? They said they will end it. Now they say it's not possible. George, imagine.
This is the sign of the end times. Has been predicted again. This is not news to us that understand. If it is news to us that understand and have the inside scoop, then that means we are lazy. We have not been studying or understanding. No, what we are seeing is the signs of the end times, and it is happening rapidly. The focus, there was a shifting tide during the pandemic. And right after that, we have with the Russian and Ukrainian war that took place, and the war that is raging in the Middle East also is part of it. And you see traces of wars all over the places too. Like Ethiopia has not been at rest for a long time. So you see things happening and you see earthquake in diverse places. Catastrophic events that are taking places like El Nino and all the rest of them that are the signs of the end times. Now, who no, go no. And if you don't want to know, that's your problem. But if you do understand, you can prepare yourself depending on what religious affiliation that you have. But everybody understand that we are rapidly moving towards the end of the this era, I say, not the end of the war, but the end of this era. I will call it that. So this is what you're saying. And also, what you're also seeing is that the World Bank itself predicted that they will be able to, at least change the poverty that is happening, that is ravaging a lot of countries, bring them to about $6.80 something cents or $25, per day of equation. But it's not happening. And why is it not happening? They need to really nip it in the bud. Because if the Western world refuses to allow Africa or to encourage Africa to come together and to begin to work together, then you would start seeing a shift in the larger population of people in African countries that are, actually suffering poverty. Part of the problem is not because of lack of resources. Part of the problem is leadership in Africa that is causing all this poverty situation. And then you start seeing World Bank and some of these international countries manipulate, third world countries into doing things that will hold them hostage rather than prosper them and prosper the people at length. And this is that manipulation. They are swearing that Africa will not be allowed to become a producing nation, but there will be a consumption nation. As a result of that, they come to take our resources, raw resources, refine it and bring it back to us and sell it at an ostentatious price. So what do you expect?
No, George, I don't agree with you on that. They did swear to do anything like that. It is the Africans that have
swear. I say they are subtly manipulating a lot of these things. But I'm buying into it. How
long do we give this kind of excuse? Because you have everything at your disposal. Everything is at your disposal in Africa. Now, your government is also in charge. Your government actually decides to probably become a stooge to the Western world because they did that to themselves, not the Western world putting you under that coercion. So it is up to us to say, no, we don't want to be a consuming nation. We want to also be producing. Some African countries are trying that too now. Raji, it's good to see you again. You're back.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're talking. We've left the Hamas situation. We're talking about ending extreme poverty by 2030. The World Bank says it's no longer possible. So George is giving some reasons why that will not happen, and we're saying, what do you think? What's your view, Raji?
For as long as you are depending on your undertaker for your livelihood, you are already dead. The World Bank has been behaving like undertakers to Africans, and we have submitted ourselves onto their hands. So what kind of restitution, or what kind of there's no unless Africans decide that, look, all the economic indices that are applicable to Western countries fail when they are applied to African countries. Let Africa develop its own system of government, of economics. Let Africa not make himself part of the global entity. Let us
Entity.
live. Let us live within our means. Let us eat what we produce. Let us not play catch up with the Western world about infrastructure and about all these things. There is no way a debtor, there's no way a debtor nation can be free. Let us take ourselves out of the debt and infrastructure trap that we have put ourselves.
Powerful.
Let us live within our means.
George, I align with
eat what we produce.
I align with Raji on this one. So George, I said we can't be making that excuse of the Western world put us in that situation. George said
what I said before was this. Listen to this.
Okay, sir.
You cannot be isolated as a nation and survive. It is not possible. There gotta be a diplomatic connection to other countries, economic connection to other countries in order for your goods and services to be sold. So now you cannot survive on your own. You can't isolate yourself like North Korea and expect to survive if you have people or have that mentality of capitalism with you. So what I'm saying also is there are so many indices that is telling us it's not overt, it's not open, that some manipulation is taking place. For instance, let's use Uganda, for instance. There was a time when Uganda was actually being extricated from the international world simply because the president refuses to allow, certain, lifestyle to come into his own country. And then you start seeing squeezing, they started squeezing, all the economic aid that was supposed to be going to them. And he refused. And now you see, these are part of that manipulation. Recently, a certain amount of money was given to Nigeria, and a lot of people were suspecting that the government knowingly and understandably, with the conditions that could also be the same thing that happened to Uganda, they signed the MOU and accepted the money. So
but that is what Raji is talking about.
It's exactly what I am saying.
Raji, is that not what you're saying?
Agreeing with him.
Go ahead, Raji.
I'm agreeing with him. But in order for you to become relevant in international ground, geopolitical world, what needs to be done is you need to understand all of these little indices that are coming out and understand that before you sign any MOU to accept any loan or whatever the case might be, you have to understand all the conditions that are given to you. If it's not in line with your own people, your way of thinking, refuse it or remove it before the loan can be accepted. But it's come to that point now where ostentatious living among our leaders are destroying the nation's economy. Because recently we have seen it happen in Nigeria where somebody is telling you, tighten your belt, be patient with me, but I'm buying jets. Tighten your belt and be patient, but I'm buying, SUVs for all the House of Representatives and the senators and all the judges. Tighten your belt and be patient. Doctors are, educated elites are leaving the country. Tighten your belt, but I'm eating, like a fat man, with good food. And then I'm telling you, take this crumb, please tighten your belt. That's not leadership.
So Raji, come in again. So it's time. Go ahead, Raji.
So, okay, there's no way that Africa should be going pan in hand for aid. Why do we need aid? And you'll be surprised that whatever aid we get, whatever loans we get, not up to 40% of it eventually comes to the country. Not up to 40%. So what are we taking the loans for? Why don't we decide that henceforth, whatever we cannot produce in our country, we shall not import. We shall do whatever we can to produce whatever we need in this country. Most
Oh, we lost Raji there.
So the mentality
So,
of the
yes.
people, the mentality of the people in a nation can always be aligned with the way the leaders are.
That's it. Thank you, George. George, let's go on a
That's
small
the
break.
bottom line.
That's the
Yes.
bottom line. Let's go on a small break. Viewers, you are tuned into this wonderful session here, Friday, International Global. So, George, sorry, we'll go on a small break. We'll be back and we'll continue. George, let's still come on this topic. I want Raji to conclude what he was saying. So,
Okay.
see you on the other end. Thank you.
Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Call us now for your clean and perfect inverter and solar installation. Electricity availability in Nigeria is not constant due to its erratic supply. A perfect inverter installation will provide you a full power control in your office or home, while our so-called PHCN remains the...
A year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of the world that there are challenges ahead. Now, a prophecy did come, and that prophecy is coming to pass. But I'm telling you, the final solution has been found many years ago in the Bible, because the Bible simply says righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach to the people. So I want you to know that we can get solutions to problems in Ukraine, in Russia, in Nigeria, indeed all parts of the world. We need that solution, and the solution is straightforward. Please get a copy of my book. It's the Final Solution by Bishop Schengen Johnson, and you can find it in Kindle, in Amazon. Just type Bishop Schengen Johnson, The Final Solution. It will come. It's very, very small book you can read within 2 hours, but it contains the final solution. Do get a copy. Not getting it is doing disservice to humanity. Don't forget the final solution.
Yes, viewers, you're back. We're back, and you are also tuned in with us. Friday International Global Update. Raji, George, I hope you guys are there. You're not frozen. So let's end this. Raji, what you're saying is very, very essential, because we don't know who's listening. I mean, United Nations could also be listening to this. Raji, what are ways we think we can, Africa now, me and you, more of our viewers are Africans. What are ways we can really put to help this poverty, these food problems we're facing? And what do you think, Raji, in a word or two? Just let's crop it up on this topic.
No, it has to be more than a word or two.
Okay, go ahead. I trust what you say. Go ahead.
Yes, I think what Africans, Nigeria in particular, should do is not to try to play catch up with the Western world about the economics and about the economies. Every index of Western applicable economics fails woefully when it is applied to Africa.
Boom.
Now let me take
Boom.
Nigeria. Let me take Nigeria as a test case. There's no way that we can continue to go to be taking loans. First of all, let us stop taking all loans, and let us see what we can generate locally and what we can use what we generate locally to do locally. Meanwhile, let us have a discussion with so-called people who have given us loans to look at the conditions of those loans ab initio, because there have been so many loans that have been taken without deep understanding, even from the people, the loaning agency, about how the country is going to pay back. And I wonder how the World Bank and the IMF and the Paris Club continues to give us loans without knowing fully well that these loans are going to put us in captivity. So they are essentially putting us under captivity, and therefore those loans were not ab initio equitable loans. So we should be able to stop any other loans you are going to take. And then, in fact, during Jonathan's time, those people who are in power now threatened world organizations about giving loans to Jonathan, those that they, when they come to office, will not be able to repay, and therefore not be able to continue with the whatever agreement that Jonathan had in taking that loans. I think we should also bring that up now, that henceforth every loan that is taken by this government will be resisted, because the government should be able. In fact, there was actually a condition then that whatever loan the government is taking, if the government is not able to pay it back within its term, the government should not take it. And that is what we should do.
We should stand on that.
Yes, we should start doing that.
Okay.
But we should stop taking loans.
Raji, I wanted
that's one aspect of it. That's what, if according to your means, cut your code according to your size or according to your cloth, according to Obasanjo.
The
point about this particular thing is this. Number one, the loans that are being taken, are they being used for the purpose where that loan were being taken? What kind of operations are we developing in our countries to reduce poverty, to increase production within a nation, to increase self-sustenance when it comes to agricultural products that can be produced in our own country? We are now importing rice. Nigeria ought not to be importing rice. Nigeria ought not to be importing any type of food product that we can produce in our own country. And then even if we need to, we can actually, trade with another African country within Africa to keep the money within Africa. This is one of the major problems we've been having. So we take all these loans, we encourage people to pay their taxes, but it's almost like pouring water on a basket, because it goes into the basket, it doesn't stay there, it just evaporates into other pockets. So these are part of the things that we are talking about here when it comes to developing a nation. Now, one of the major problems we have had is kakistocracy, the government that does not know what to do and refuses to acknowledge that they don't know what to do. Refuses to accept help. This is one of the major issues that we have in our countries.
Yeah, sorry, George, can I put in a word for you? Why has rice become such an important food item for us in Africa? There are far many other local alternatives. If rice is not
we have cassava, we have potatoes, we have yam, we have all those things that we can produce locally that will give you the same thing. Even rice, we produce rice in Nigeria, only that we have not actually come to the point where we can become self-sustained with what we produce locally and then to export the excess out. We can do that. Look at what happened in 1970. What was it? 76? When first came, Malaysia came to Nigeria. We gave them a gift. We gave them a gift of palm products.
All right, gentlemen.
GDP is so high when it comes. They are the one that are exporting palm oil and palm produce and
Yes.
soaps are being made out of those things. That is the highest of their GDP. The gift that we gave them. See, we
let
that
us
gave it
stop-
to them, we can't even do
let us
anything with
stop
it.
import. Let us stop import of every local everything that we can produce locally. Let us stop import or
Okay.
importation of everything that we
Gentlemen,
can produce locally.
you both dived in very well on this. So
Do you know something else before we go? And most of the yam that we are eating in Nigeria is being imported from Ghana. Can you imagine that? Most of the yam we eat in Nigeria is being imported from Ghana.
The food
No,
discussion.
because the food basket.
The food discussion.
The food basket
I mean,
in the venue.
I mean, yeah, the food. Our discussion on this food thing, poverty and the rest, should have a program of its own, because it's really, it's a serious issue that should be dived in very well. So we'll come to more of that, and hopefully make a special segment on this, just on this. Let's go on with some international news. The Netherlands is in the news, and what is it? Netherlands is copying the UK style of rejecting African asylum seekers and taking them back to Africa. They are taking them to Uganda. The Netherlands, you all know where the Netherlands is here in Europe, and they are also bringing this funny idea. So anyway, critics are saying that this is not nice. The government in Netherlands now is the far right. They call them far right Freedom Party, and they are more like the conservative people, those people that want to keep things in their own way. So this is what they are planning to do. Netherlands and the Uganda people, Uganda politicians are also kicking against it, but somehow I think they've been able to enter through some of their some House members, and they want to be taking those that they've rejected their asylum to the Netherlands. Uganda said they are already sheltering refugees from Sudan, South Sudan, Congo, and all of these places. And why won't Netherlands also take in some of these refugees? So, gentlemen, let's talk about Netherlands and rejecting asylum seekers. Raji.
Every country has a right to protect its environment.
Okay.
Now, if you are bringing asylum seekers, what are they running from? Let them go back to their country. In fact, I don't see why they should be returned. They should be taking them to Uganda. If an asylum seeker is from Nigeria, why don't you return him to Nigeria? Simple and short. I don't see anything wrong in what the Netherlands are doing. If you want to enter my country, please come with a visa, a valid visa, and you'll be given an entry. But you cannot come into my country as an asylum seeker and see what some things that asylum seekers are doing in France, in Spain, in Italy.
And as a matter of fact, in Canada, as a matter of fact, when you think about that, my country, Nigeria, has brought a lot of headache to Canadians. Because before the pandemic, listen to this, before the pandemic, troops of Nigerians went to the US, and most of them that were in the US crossed over to Montreal and then flooded Canada. And because it was unplanned, most of them were left destitute. And it took a little time for that shock, for the government to put together hotels and places where these people will be housed. Now, recently also, one person died, 2 people died in Canada because of cold. Because when they flood like this, the government did not plan for it. You come in illegally. Most of them came in illegally with students visa. They came in with other visiting visa, but they now raise their hand. The government did not plan. The government plans ahead. It happened recently, and it is still happening. So now when you see countries trying to change the narratives, because I know how much it must have cost Ontario government to house these people. Thousands of them, they couldn't ship them out. They have to put them in hotels. They have to feed them. They have to buy them clothes and all those things, give them some kind of welfare to sustain them until they are determined whether to stay or not. So these things are costing the countries a lot. And many of these countries that are considering taking them to African nation, like what happened with England and what's the name
Rwanda.
of that?
Rwanda.
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 Okay, now
Mhm.
can't spend that money, and I'm thankfully the money is not coming back to the UK, so the money is staying in Rwanda, whether they like it or not. So why these people are still considering going to Uganda? Ask yourself this question: if a Nigerian who claim to be a Ugandan or who claim that they don't have any other country, you take them to Uganda, how would they survive there?
How would you survive?
What would they do there? They don't know the language. So these are the difficulties that they are encountering. But I don't blame these countries from trying to take this pen and this heavy load up on off their shoulders, because it costs them more to keep them locally than to export them to African nations. And this is another, it's a slap on our face. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves when we see, our enlightened people running away, most of them that are educated, doctors, lawyers, scientists, because of the inconducive environment for them to survive in their country, they jabber to other nations. It is not
Mhm.
good. We need to change the
Mhm.
conversations in our country and accommodate our own people, make life a little livable for everybody, instead of the little
Make
1% elite of and by the way,
Mm.
make life a little bit livable for everybody. George, thank you very much. But anyway, it's not just Netherlands also. As at yesterday, the European Union had a meeting where the immigration was a top agenda. Right there in Brussels, they were talking about immigration because a lot of these countries are being faced with immigration crisis. 2 million people, remember in 2015 to 2017, 2 million people came into Europe, Syrian refugees, and they are causing a lot of problems up to now, finances and other things. So EU too is looking at that issue, and
Mm.
most of the EU countries are far right parties that don't also like foreigners that much. Um, so, gentlemen, but let me put this to you guys.
Yeah.
Also, like we said earlier, George was saying something too when we were talking about the poverty, borrowing money. It is also the factors that they've put on Africa, the EU, the Western nations, that is making people to jackpot, like they say. The jackpot syndrome comes because the government is trying to meet up with policy agreements with this Western world, and these things now put this ordinary citizen in despair. So this
Do
is the
not,
root
do
cause.
not,
Mhm.
do not blame the lender. Do not blame the lender nations.
Okay,
A borrower is a slave to the lender. So
okay,
you should be careful how we go to borrow. And then we
okay,
borrow and we filter away all the monies we borrow. Eh?
okay,
And in fact, most of the monies the loans we get, not up to 40% eventually get into the country. Now that
okay.
40% that gets in the country, more than 50% of it is withered away with flagrant uh, expenditures. So
You see,
we should look ourselves in the mirror and tell ourselves the truth. How did we become so dependent on aid, on loans?
mm,
Let us stop taking loans. Let us
mm,
live according to within our means.
mm.
Whatever we cannot import, let us produce locally. If you cannot produce locally, let us find alternatives to it. Let us stop all these grandiose infrastructures of building a 700-kilometer coastal highway to nowhere for 15 trillion for a country that has no money to spend
Thank you.
700 billion.
Yes, Raji, we saw you do a small documentary on the coastal highway, and
Yes.
I know you really shook your head like, what a waste, because like we've always said on this network, that is an extravagant thing. That money could have been used in solar. We're talking of solar the other day, even though we didn't agree. But I mean, if they made an attempt on the solar thing with that amount, that money, George, 15 trillion
Let me
for a
assure
road
you,
that leads to
let me
nowhere.
let, let me assure you that the so-called coastal highway will
Mm-hmm.
not go beyond Ogun State. Let me assure you of that, because it will be madness to extend it beyond there. And therefore, the government is only serious about that aspect of it that comes to Lagos, that within Lagos through Ogun, probably to Ondo State. But beyond that, I'm sure the government will not go further.
And then
Not
if
go.
So
it's going
the money
through
has
Ogun
been
and Ondo
budgeted.
State, okay, go
But the
ahead.
money has been budgeted for this, and the money is being spent on this. So if they stop halfway, what happens to the rest of the money budgeted for it?
I think the money is not so much budget. In fact, there's somebody actually challenged the Minister of Works to do a Freedom of Information Act revelation on the details of the Lagos Calabar coastal highway, but the government and the minister is refusing to make
Of course, why
clear to
would
the
he not
public
refuse?
whatever is happening.
Why would he
Yeah.
not refuse? When he was directly asked certain questions, he started playing jesting around that I don't understand English.
Yes.
These are the kind of people you
It
put in power. So
deceit.
it's a joke. It's laughable. A young
No,
lady that was
no.
discussing with
It
the
it
man, he was like, I don't understand this F.N.A. that you're speaking.
it is tragic,
Making
not
a
laughable.
jest.
It is tragic. It is tragic.
Okay, gentlemen, let's do more international. George, from your corner, we're hearing something very strange. They say a lot of Canadians now decide to take their life for social reason. So many of them that are also on medical situations. Now you have a situation where they come also to Europe, to Switzerland. Switzerland has euthanasia plan, a system where you enter into a box and just commit suicide without pain. George, what's happening? Is it that the life has been too good, they've enjoyed too much, now they want to go, they want to die?
See, a lot of people are despondent. Many people, life is no longer tasteful to them.
Mm.
And a lot of them that are suffering from pain and agony just wants to end their lives. And that's one of the major problems. And this is one of those signs of the end times. People are begging for death and it's not coming. They are suffering a lot of pain, but it's not, they're not living the kind of life that they want to live. Some people don't even enjoy eating food anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Some people overeat food because of depression. So these are the signs that we are seeing in these last days. And people are holding their stomach in pain because they want deliverance, but it is not coming anywhere because of rejection of certain things. So that's what you are seeing. So a lot of people are finding escape route to end their lives. But you didn't give yourself the life. Why would you want to take it?
Mm-hmm.
There are other alternative areas to take rather than killing yourself.
So, Sir George, if it's the end times, I don't think it's the end times is going to happen in Africa, because we Africans, in spite of all the troubles and tribulations, we are not in a hurry to leave.
I tell you,
No, listen to this. Listen to this. When you are, see, what one of the major problems we're having in some of these developed countries is simply this. When they criminalize chastising children, discipline children, children now grow up to be leaders of their parents. Okay. They tell their parents what to do, not the parents telling the children what to do anymore. And because of this, they are immune from anything that is hardship. Let me tell you a quick story that happened here in Canada. A young lady woke up one morning going to work, and then discovered and looked at the the news and saw that there was traffic. They called 911 and called police, emergency, and they said, emergency, what can we help you with? She's like, I am running late to go to work. Can you send the police to come and escort me to work? And no, this is real story. It made news all over. So this, and then when they said that, ma'am, we cannot do that, it's like she was like, why not? Why not? I'm a citizen of Canada. Why wouldn't you send police to come and take me so I can go to work on time because I was late yesterday because of traffic? So do you understand that mentality? No
Yeah, that's it.
accountability, no responsibility. So these are the children that we are raising now. A little pain, they want to eliminate their lives.
Okay, so George,
If we get disciplined in Africa, we
yeah,
can take pain until we survive out of that
yeah.
pain.
No, Africans have strong, we have this very resilient, very strong durability, strength. So viewers, what you're seeing there now is a machine that they now use in Switzerland. That's Zurich, west of Europe. Now, this is a euthanasia machine. People go in there and take their life and they just die. It's becoming rampant. More of such people are coming from Canada. That's what the survey, the number is saying. So they are coming from Canada. Canadians are tired of living. Many wants to go. They are complaining of isolation. Life is, they are tired, terminal, those that have terminal diseases too. So they come, enter this machine, and bam, they are gone. Some people are standing up against that machine and saying that machine should be taken off because that's a crime of its own, crime against humanity. But it's a growing business. Yes, so that's the machine, euthanasia machine. You go in and you're gone quietly in Switzerland. So, George, thank you for telling us some of those things, reasons people are giving. Generally, this is the life we're in now. Some people,
you just mentioned one of the greatest atrocities that is happening. If you go to Nigeria, we don't have elderly people's homes. People grow home in their own houses. Yes. And when they die, they're buried. But here, once you turn certain stage, a certain age, they take you to old people's home.
Old people's home.
And most of them, when they go to those old people's home, their life is no longer, you have visitation from your family. Some of them are abandoned them even. So, you know, it's almost like you're isolated. You feel so bad and so despondent. You don't even have, there's no taste to life anymore. And most of them prefer to die rather than to live. And this is part of the thing that is happening. And it happened with a family here locally, friends of mine, when during the pandemic, the mom died. Their mother died, and they didn't want to tell the father that the mother died. But what happened? They put him in old people's home. They sold his house. And then in old people's home, it's almost like, you know, they're waiting for you to die because they don't give you anything to make you want to live more. You know, and that's exactly what happened until this man died a couple of last year. But that was a strong man at the age of 95. He was so strong, you know. And then they forced him into old people's home. And once he went there, you know, everywhere was just like dying. And he ended up dying himself. If that man was left in his own house, he would have lived to be 105 before
but what are you doing living all that age? Probably what is in this life?
If your quality of life, if the quality of life is not deteriorating, there's no reason why it should not be. My mother lived to be over 105, surrounded by grandchildren, great grandchildren, and her children. She died very, very happy.
I think that this too much living around, mostly when you're not making much impact, just being around, I think it's just a waste of time. Why not go and settle?
That's a Western mentality. You see?
You know what you don't realize is that all these old people are encyclopedias. I have to sit down with my stepdad, with my mom, to listen to history, the history of our family, of the family tree, of our relationship, interrelationship with people who came to see my mother. I will ask her, how are we related to this man? So I have a book of the interrelationship between, yes. The moment they die, they go with all the history. So now I have the history that I'm downloading to my children. I've written a book on it. So our family history is known.
Is known. Wow, thank you. All right, so that's it, viewers. Canadians are giving up in life because they've enjoyed too much anyway. So they're coming to Switzerland. They are being euthanized. They are being taken off. It's a process. You stay in a house. You go through the process, and
suicide.
yes, assisted suicide, and you kill yourself. Interesting. You come into this box, and they switch it off. Okay, George, Raji, I think it's time to go. But before we go, let's look into one very interesting thing. Yesterday, Trump was showing off a Swiss-made watch. It's more like a means of raising funds for his party. That's the watch there in his wrist. So what some people now did was, because he said a lot about the watch. It's very expensive. It's coming from sweet, best watchmakers. They now went and looked more into this watch and found out that it was just built in a remote northern part of America, Montana, and that it's just one shop there that was doing this watch. So he's trying to scam people of their money by saying that he bought it.
I really pray that Trump becomes the president again. I'm praying for Trump. I'm praying for Trump so that the Americans will also enjoy the kind of people they have been forcing on third world countries.
The funniest part of this.
Okay.
Trump does not support Allah, and you're praying to Allah to make Trump the president. So
I'm not praying to Allah. I'm not praying to Allah. I'm not praying to any Allah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, don't hang any religion on my neck.
He doesn't hang religion.
Don't hang any religion on my neck. I am really praying for the simple reason. Hold on,
Yeah.
you didn't get my conclusion. For the simple reason that America has muddled up in the affairs of too many countries and forced dictators and murderers on them, and therefore it is their own turn to enjoy the kind of government they have been forcing on other people. If I had a vote, I'll vote for Trump.
Nice.
I'm praying for him.
You can if you want to. What can get your American citizenship? George and Raji, you guys are awesome. We've done it. This week has been wonderful. You came up through, and we've concluded today. Thank you for coming, George. Taking your time in the morning to be here. Raji, with all the network thing, you still push through. Nice. God bless you both. So viewers, this is it. Friday. We are through with this week. We'll be back on Monday between the lines. But until then, have a beautiful Friday weekend start, and till we come again. Bye-bye.
Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Elevate your new week. Fuel your success.